You're listening to The Hypnotic Empath, and I'm your host, Robyn Holm. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, a body talk practitioner, and an empowered empath with over 2 decades of experience helping sensitive souls like you reconnect with your power. This podcast is a space for deep healing, subconscious transformation, and real world support. We'll do some guided hypnotherapy sessions, we'll talk to some incredible guests, and we'll help you learn to release what isn't yours, to protect your energy, and to finally feel safe being you. It's time to move from surviving to thriving. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Hypnotic Empath. I am your host, Robyn Holm, and I am here with a dear friend of mine that I have known for 20 years at this point, nearly 20 years, almost 20 years. And Melissa and I met in Zumba days because she was in my very first Zumba training that I ever taught when I was fresh and new and so nervous. And her sister were both in that training, and we connected immediately. We have stayed in touch ever since. Melissa would always get in touch to ask about, like, to get coaching on her instructing, and we just ended up developing a really beautiful relationship. And then her hometown is where I went for trainings 4 or 5 times a year. So I would see them every time I went there. And then when I left Zumba and went into Body Talk, then Melissa became a Body Talk client of mine. And again, while I was learning, she was supporting me. And then when I started to get into hypnotherapy, then she did hypnotherapy with me. So Melissa, thank you for your support over the years. I always can rely on you to give me honest and insightful feedback. You are one of the most intuitive, smart, and talented people that I know. And the reason that I wanted to bring you on today is because I've known you for a long time, and you have had a remarkable weight loss just in this last year, would I say? Is that correct?
Yes, it has
Yeah.
been about 17 months.
17 months. Okay. So the reason I really wanted you to come on here today is I think that you have a unique perspective in the sense that you've been on both sides of, like, a weight loss journey. You've been on all the sides of a weight loss journey, but you've just come through a period of time where something has really worked for you. And I know that it was a lot of things at once. So I'm wondering if, first of all, if you could tell us just a little bit about yourself, about your background, about what you do now, and then we'll get into the weight loss journey. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely, and I am so honored to be on your podcast, Robyn. I've had the opportunity to see your journey, you've seen my journey. It's just been since 2009, I've been following you around.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic. Yeah, so, you know, right now I work in learning and development, more of a corporate role, but previous to that, I was a group fitness instructor for 10 years in Zumba. I also did step, kick, other things like that. I dabbled in personal training, a little bit of nutrition and wellness coaching. Previous to that, I was working in writing. That's what my degree is in communications and public relations. And so it's been quite the journey of different careers, but weight and losing weight and gaining weight has been a part of my life that entire time, which I know we'll get into more in a moment. But outside of that, I have a wonderful husband, 2 French bulldogs. I am obsessed with escape rooms, love Nutella. I think it's one of the best desserts that exist. Not just because I'm Italian, just love Nutella. Um, yeah, and that's just a little bit about myself.
I do think it's a little bit because you're Italian.
It probably is, yeah.
Italians really do love Nutella in my experience.
It's true, we grow up with it, so
Yeah, awesome. Okay, amazing. So, when did your weight loss journey, and I do call it a journey because one of the other things that you and I had a really parallel journey on was I was going through my fertility journey at the same time that you were going through this weight loss body image journey. And every time we would have a session together or talk, I was like, I cannot believe how many parallels there are in the mindset, in the way that you think and feel, in the lack of control, in the how you can't make your body do anything. There was such a parallel there. But when did your weight loss journey start?
oof, when didn't it start? As far back as I can remember, I remember being very aware of my weight and body. I have a distinct memory when I was around 3, being on the beach, and my mom was changing me out of my bathing suit into my clothes to go home. And I remember telling her and feeling very self-conscious. I wanted her to cover me with a towel to make sure nobody else saw me. And I don't know if that was about weight or about body, but I was aware of my body and what it meant for other people to see it at that time. And from there, it's been a part of my life. In elementary, very much aware of my weight, I was bullied for it. And that just kind of continued on. So definitely a journey.
What are your earliest memories? Like, what age did you start getting bullied for your weight?
I want to say it was grade 1 or grade 2. It was a different time. I hope it's gotten better since then, but I have memories of feeling like I look different than everyone else in this classroom. And yeah, I am so much bigger and I'm less than as a result, right? Maybe I didn't have those words, but it was how I felt. And I look back at pictures and I think, I don't look any different than anyone in that room, but I sure felt different. And it's like people picked up on that too. And as I went through elementary, I was a bit chubbier. Like I wasn't one of those kids that was, I see some kids that are super lean and some kids that maybe mature a little bit faster. I was just like your typical little bit chubby kid looking kid. Right. And I got picked on for it. I sucked. Yeah. It was quite a bit of that. So for a really long time. And I lost the question that you asked me, Robin, but
No, you answered
yeah, that's the
it.
start.
That was the start of the memories. And what kind of things would kids say to you? Like, what would they do?
Oh, there was just a lot of like, watch out, the whale is coming, or like the ground is trembling when she walks, or like things like that, or just like losing friendships, which was very sad. So it was like, I would have this friend, and then the next day it was like, well, she doesn't look the way that we want her to look. We're no longer friends. I'm with the popular group. Right. And some of it makes no sense whatsoever. It was just bullying and teasing at that point. It was most of my elementary. My mom almost pulled me out of the elementary school because I was having a really hard time. But, ultimately we thought something to build resilience around and persevere through. And so, for better or for worse, I stayed at that elementary and then I went into junior high and I was not that much better in junior high, maybe less bullying in junior high. But um, that was a really hard time for me, the teenage years, really hard time with body image and weight. And again, I wasn't a naturally thin person. I just wasn't. I had to work at it. And so, yeah, that just kind of prevailed through then until, well, we'll get into all the journey, but yeah, that is quite the elementary experience that stands out in my mind.
How did you cope with that?
How did I cope with that? That's a great question. I have this particular memory where I was sitting in the classroom and I looked around the room and I just said, I can do this without friends. I don't need anybody in this room. And I think that was my coping. Was like, I can do this on my own. I don't need this, and kind of a bit of a dissociation from that piece of it. And then I had things outside of school that were really important. Like I was part of a rhythmic gymnastics team and I felt belonged, not a word, but I felt like I belonged there. Right. So there were some things in my life that were positives for sure. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all bullying. So there was some separation there. I did have some good friends throughout elementary, even though I struggled with friendships. There were some really good friends and I had support from my family. My
Were
mom was a rock star.
I was gonna say, like, were
During
you able to talk to your mom about it, or what did that look like at home?
We did talk about it. I don't know, I can't remember the full conversations. I know it was a topic of conversation, and I know that I got a lot of love and support and things like that, and a lot of advice around, like, "Don't care about what other people think, like, just go in there, be proud," It's it's hard. It's hard to do that. Uh, but I don't think at the time we talked about things the way we talk about them now, or we didn't understand them the way that we understand them now. I think it was like, okay, I'm going to comfort you and I'm going to support you and I'm going to do everything I can. But did we get into like some of the things that you would talk about now, maybe from trauma or psychological things I don't think so, right? That wasn't really that common. So we did and we didn't. I think it was just like accepted, like people got bullied, right? It was just there was no zero bullying tolerance at school. Like that's a new thing. That wasn't a thing when I was in school. It was like that's part of the school experience, and I wasn't the only one being bullied. So you just kind of go and you deal with it best as you can.
How do you think your culture plays into the whole body image weight situation or conversation?
So Italian culture, like many cultures, weight and what you look like, in particular as a woman, is the most important thing. It's highlighted. It's you haven't seen people in a while, and the first thing they notice is if you gained weight or lost weight. And so you're very aware of that. And it still frustrates me to this day where the question is never, how are you feeling? How's your health? What do you do for a living? What are the other accomplishments that you've done? Now, you've gained 10 pounds. The sky is falling. Like, how could you? It's like the worst thing you can do. And so I have a lot of memories of feeling like I needed to look a certain way and lose a certain amount of weight before a family function. So not so much my immediate family, but extended culture, extended family, and feeling like, okay, wedding's coming up. I need to fit a certain dress. I better get on a diet or do whatever I need to do for that, right? Because I was so self-conscious and it wasn't just me. I know my sister felt that way and lots of us felt that way. And that's really frustrating. And so I think that plays into this quite a bit because you're getting it from all angles. And it's not just Italian culture, like in society in general. It's unfortunate, but we live in a fat phobic world. We do. It sucks. It really sucks, but it exists out there. And so you're feeling that from lots of different angles. At least I did pretty strongly.
Yeah, so do you think you're like are you an empath? Do you identify as an empath?
I had never used that word, Robin. I had never associated with myself until it came up in one of our body talk sessions. I didn't realize that was what was happening. I just thought I was responsible for all the emotions happening in the room. Like I felt them all coming at me, and I just thought that's how people felt. I didn't know there was a different way to experience
It's exactly what it was like for me. And we were probably about the same age when I didn't figure it out till I was like 34.
that.
I just again, I like you just said it so beautifully. I just thought everyone felt that way. I just, "Oh, I'm the second oldest of 8 kids. That's why I feel responsible for everyone and everything and all of their safety." "Oh, when I walk into a room, I can feel everybody, but can't everybody do that?" "Oh, it's probably because I'm a group fitness instructor and I'm used to taking care of the whole room." "Oh, it's probably because I'm a waitress and a bartender and I'm used to being able to read people." I didn't realize that not everyone feels that way. I also didn't realize how much of that responsibility was in my body. And it wasn't until I discovered body talk and hypnotherapy that I was able to start identifying that and start to let go of it because I had injuries, right, that weren't healing because I was carrying so much. And one of my favorite places for my body to dump things is in my shoulder. And that's responsibility, right? So I had this responsibility for everybody's well being, responsibility for everyone's safety. And then in my work now with body talk and then in hypnotherapy, I've discovered that empaths, when we feel that responsibility for everybody, we tend to carry about at least 20 extra pounds of weight in order to protect us from other people's stuff. We don't, until we learn a better way. And that's what my work is now, is giving people the mental, emotional, energetic protection so that they can give their body permission to let go of the weight. Because when your body is holding on to protection weight, it's just doing the best that it can to protect you. And it's a beautiful thing. Thank you, body, for that. And until we give it another way, until we make it feel safe enough, why on earth would it let go of the weight? Why would it do that? That would be ridiculous. And our bodies will always prioritize safety first. That's human nature, right? Absolutely. That's survival of the fittest. So here we are, holding this weight for protection. And through my work with body talk, the way that I ended up specializing in empaths, which is the weirdest specialty, I would have never been like, you know what? I think I'm going to specialize in empaths. Like that sounds like a good thing to do. It just happened accidentally because I was working with so many empaths and seeing that around 14, and everybody's story around 14 is when those empathic abilities really turn on. And that's when I have noticed that empaths adopt one of 5 coping behaviors. smoking cigarettes, which is the one I chose. I started smoking when I was 14, smoked until I was 22. Smoking helps to artificially reinforce something called our Wei Qi. Our Wei Qi is our energetic protective layer over our bodies, and it's governed by the lungs. So when we smoke, it's like putting a barrier into our Wei Qi and like bumping it up a little bit. So I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but that's what my body chose. So that alcohol does the same thing where it kind of dulls the Wei Qi, because the Wei Qi is how you get all of your information from the environment. And when you drink alcohol, it kind of numbs that a little bit so that you can be more focused. You're not feeling everybody and their mother around you. So alcohol, pot will do that for some people. For me, it magnifies everything. So I never chose that one. Sex, some people will overuse that. And then the fifth one is food. And it's not necessarily even that they have to overeat. It's that the body starts to use whatever calories are coming into your body as protection. So then it starts to put that weight on. So whatever it is that you're eating, maybe you will use that. Like I would go out and smoke. Maybe some people would choose to eat. It's the same kind of dopamine protection mechanism, but it all comes down to protection, which is what I ended up specializing in, because through Body Talk, coming out of the fitness industry, there were always people in the fitness industry who, no matter what they did, they just couldn't lose weight. And I was so frustrated for them because it didn't make any sense until I understood the energetics. Because if you don't feel safe, if you don't have the protection that you need, if you're always picking up on everything from your environment, your body is just doing the best that it can. So through working with body image, I always worked with body image, some eating disorders, weight, etc. We were always working on then usually repairing the Wei Qi. And then fast forward to hypnosis time, when my hypnotherapist put in the bubble of protection for me and I adopted that instead. And that's what I do now with all of my clients, because then we have an extra energetic protection out here, and then an internal, like close to your body, energetic protection, which is the Wei Qi. And that also goes inside. So now it's like a double layer for empaths. And I find that once people have that in place and they practice that, then it becomes easier to allow the weight to go. And when you can allow the weight to go energetically, then you can make changes in what it is that you do. Because with a lot of my clients, are like, I know what I should do, I just can't fucking do it. I'm like, well, that's because your body doesn't feel safe yet. So we have to work on the safety first. And then you can start to adopt one change at a time. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I wish out of those 5 things I had, picked sex as mine, but, you know,
As a teenager?
maybe not. But yeah, 14 definitely stands out to me. Very, very tough year. Absolutely. One of the things that makes me fucking crazy is when somebody's like, "It's calories in and calories out," and you're like, "Oh my god." But especially if this is a person who has never dealt with weight gain in their life, and nobody's disputing the science. That is the law of thermodynamics. Of course, that is how it works in our bodies. But just like you pointed out, how your body is taking in those calories and how you are burning them changes drastically. So it sounds simple, very hard to execute. And then add other layers on top of this, right? If that's been your coping mechanism for a long time and you take that away, what do you replace it with? What do you do? Right? So that's a huge thing. And there's just so many layers to it. How you believe about yourself, what you think is possible, all of those things. I know for me, I felt stuck. I felt like I had put on this fat suit, and I think it came up as imagery. And I say the word fat as a neutral word, that I put it on and it was stuck. Like that zipper was super glued. And I knew that this wasn't my ideal body in feeling and in look, but I couldn't get it off. I couldn't, and I just felt like, and I know better. I taught group fitness. I was a personal trainer. I had a nutrition I still have a nutrition and wellness certification. Like, I know how it works. I'm tracking calories. I'm doing all the things, and it is not working, and so few people believed me, and that was so frustrating, and that's why our sessions were great for many reasons, but in particular this one because it was one of those layers that I didn't know was happening on the energetic standpoint. And then also, subconscious beliefs that were in there as well. Of course, if you, at a certain point, I had just decided This is never going to change. I should just love myself. And that's not bad advice. Loving yourself is a great thing. But it felt more like defeat that is this is out of my control and this will never ever change. And I'm just going to keep gaining weight and I just need to accept this. This is my life. I was very uncomfortable. Uh, and that's it. And so those were my beliefs. So of course I started behaving that way and taking actions that supported that belief, which then created a perpetual cycle where I would gain weight and that would reinforce the belief
I
and
knew
things.
it. I knew it. See, I knew it.
Exactly. I knew it. If you believe it, you're always right.
Yeah. I felt that way so much as well on my fertility journey. I remember those years, and those were the dark years where you just felt like it was never going to be any different. And there's that sense of needing to settle, being like, well, who are you to want more? Who are you to want to have a wonderful husband and your beautiful dogs and a house and a job and also want to be in your ideal body? Who are you for that? And there's a real self-worth and deserving piece. And it's interesting because I obviously on this show I interview empaths all the time. And one of the common beliefs with empaths is if I get more, that means somebody else gets less. It's like there's only this one pot and everyone gets their portion of the pot and I better not take more cuz somebody else won't have enough. And that's just not true. But an empath often feels like they are taking from someone else if they ask for more. So that's a big myth first of all and belief system that we need to rewire because the universe is infinite. It has deep pockets. There is no lack or scarcity. So that lack and scarcity, isn't that interesting to think about lack and scarcity when it comes to weight? If your body feels like there isn't enough to go around and it's lack and scarcity, of course it's going to hold on to every single calorie it has. There can be past life. There can be the family line. I've noticed in my work too with especially with body talk because we'll often go into the energetic family line. And if you come from ancestry that had any type of famine in your background, it will change your genetics. That's will change your epigenetics, I should say. The expression of your genes will start to change. So we can rewire that as well, like that belief so that you're not expressing those thrifty genes, so to speak. So there can be a lot of aspects to it. And I find that for a lot of my clients, they're suffering in silence because they think it's my fault. I must be doing something wrong. What do you think of that?
That is exactly how I felt for many, many years. This is my fault. I did this to myself. I need to suffer the consequences of this now. Or I'd be on a diet, and let me tell you how many diets I've tried. And ultimately, that diet would fail. The diet was set up to fail, but I felt like the failure. It was me. I just couldn't stick to it. What's wrong with me? Why do I craving that so much? Why can't I just stop eating this thing or that thing? Or maybe if I work out harder, maybe I'm not working out hard enough. Maybe I'm this, maybe that. And so it was very much a lot of shame, a lot of blame. I was also told, I had different genetic tests and, oh, your genetics are the worst. Like they're set up to be overweight. Awesome. So my body's also broken. Cool. I feel a lot of, failure in that. Why doesn't my and I know this mirrored at the time with you, Robin, where it was like, why is my body broken? What is wrong? What did I do wrong? Why is it all these other people seem to be able to lose weight and I just look at a piece of cake and I gain 5 pounds? And and there's a bit of a pity party in that, but very much so much shame when it comes to gaining weight. And it's one of the things in society I find that people attribute weight to morality. And, if you're overweight, you must be lazy. You must be whatever preconceived notions that people have. You must not be healthy. You must this, and that. And we know that health doesn't look a certain way. It can look any way, and people can be happy at any size. And, it just depends on what feels right for you. But you feel that in yourself, and then you hear it from external factors. It's in movies, look at movies where there's a person that's really lazy. It's usually the fat person. in the movie, right? So we have all these subconscious messages about what it means to be fat or overweight or to be in a larger body, carry extra energy, whatever you want to refer to it as. So of course I internalize that. And I know anybody who's struggled with weight loss has probably done that too.
Mm.
So there's again another layer there.
How did you start to change that?
So for me, as you know, we did many things throughout the years from an energetic standpoint, but the turning point for me truly was a GLP-1.
Mm.
And I am not ashamed to say that. I'm actually quite proud that I took that step. And it was in combination with hypnosis because there's a mental aspect to it, right? You still need to have the right behaviors and beliefs and actions. And then there's the physical component with the GLP-1. And I truly believe that the sessions that we did, like, had we not done those, I don't know that I would have approached it the same way. I approached it as this is an aid to help my body. I still need to do the things, but now I'm playing on normal mode. I'm not on hard mode anymore. I remember thinking, is this what other people feel like? And so that really was the turning point. And then I started to see progress and I started to see hope. And that builds momentum and that builds action. And, here we are 17 months later, I've lost almost 70 pounds. And I knew I would get there because of hypnosis, but it's also surreal. Like I saw it so many times in my mind, but when I saw it in real life, it was like I didn't actually think I could do this, even though I knew I could do this. So there was just a lot of things happening with that. But I would say yes, a GLP-1 was really the thing, and then using it as an aid and really thinking about lifestyle, thinking about still work out, still be mindful of what you're eating, all of those things. Don't just use it to starve yourself. But man, what a life changing medication. And it's unfortunate there's so much stigma around this medication.
It's starting to change though, because GLP-1s, what they do is they increase the signaling between your brain and your body. That is what they do. So we all make GLP-1 naturally. We all do. But some of us have lost the signal. And in body talk, what we're doing all day long is just increasing signals and repairing signals. We do the same thing in hypnosis. And as we were talking about before, if you still have the belief that you need the fat suit to protect you, then the GLP-1, first of all, it's not even going to be on your radar because your reticular activating system, which is your filter in your brain, will filter it right out. Or all you'll hear is the scary things about GLP-1s, right? But because you did so much work on your subconscious belief systems and your mind, when the GLP-1 then came up, you were like, oh, I think I might be ready for that now. I remember the shift of it, right? Of being like, oh, I think it might be time for that now because you had shifted your belief. And when you talk about how you had seen it, what do you mean by that?
So one of my favorite hypnosis sessions that we've done together, and the recording that you provided me was about future thinking. So it's a year from now, and you're seeing this or you're feeling this. And I'm a very visual person. As you know, I make movies in my mind constantly. And so that was so powerful for me because I was already there. I already felt what it was going to feel like a year from now. I already saw the number in the scale. For me, there was a particular number on the scale. Some people, nothing to do with the scale. That's fine. And I just kept seeing like my feet go on the scale and look down and see that number. And I felt the excitement and the joy and a lot of the things that you said, oh, it's easy. It was so easy to get here because it's never been easy. And that was a huge thing for me was I want to lose this weight, but I don't want it to feel like I'm pushing a boulder up a mountain. I'm done with that. And so that really put my brain into that place in addition to the other things we had done prior to that. But that one really stands out to me because it had already felt done. Now I just needed to catch up in real time, but it was locked in. That's what it felt like. And so, as you know, I texted you probably so many times, like, oh, I hope this works. And right, just when things started out, because I had so much like, okay, this is the thing. If this doesn't work, oh my God, like I don't know where to go from here. Right. And yeah, every time I felt that way though, I remembered this feeling of like, "Oh, but it's locked in. It's locked in, you're gonna get there, just ride the wave."
It's this or something greater. It's that feeling of so when we do that, it's called future pacing, where we put you into the future as if it's already done. And the interesting thing about the subconscious is it doesn't understand time. So if I put you into the future and give you a memory and then you create that picture in your mind, you are creating a memory in the future. But it's a memory. So now your body and your brain have categorized that as a memory, which means it's already happened, which means it's inevitable because it's familiar. And your brain will always choose what's familiar over what you actually want. So when we future pace you, we're creating a memory. It's mind-boggling when you think about it, but that's why it works. It's the same technique that I use to conceive my kids is future pacing because I couldn't believe after 12 years that I could have a different result. So that's how I got into hypnosis was because of my fertility journey, and future pacing was something I did every single session, and then I would go there in my mind in between sessions and we would anchor it in so that you could revisit that confidence of a memory because you don't argue with a memory. It's just in there, right? It just is.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it felt, like a memory that I already had. And like you, I didn't think there was another outcome. I had lost that feeling, even though, at one point in my career, I was whatever percentage body fat. You forget that. And that wasn't healthy either at the time. I gained almost 100 pounds over that time, and it just steadily kept going up. There were moments of diets that went down a little bit and then back up, but you just forget. And so being able to have that locked in, truly saying, "Okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready. I see this. I've got this." When I stepped on the scale and I sent you the picture and I was like, "I did it. I hit this goal that I had for myself." Yeah, it was exactly that. It was a memory, but just in my physical, real body now. And I feel very different about it now than I did 17 months ago. 100%.
I remember you saying too, you're like, I don't want to do any restrictive diets. I don't want to cut any food groups out because you had done that for years and years and years. You're like, there has to be another way. You're like, Robyn, no, there has to be another way. So then we would just find another way. So many of those sessions, it was just like, well, let's just work with what you are able to do right here, right now. Let's listen and it's building up that own intuition again between you and your body and that trust between you and your body, and then the feeling of deserving to have your goals met. There's a lot wrapped up in that, right?
Yeah, restriction was huge for me. I remember being so firm. "Robyn, my body's gonna have to find another fucking way to do this because I am not playing this game anymore." And it doesn't work for me. It put me on a restrictive binge type of cycle, which I know, again, people who have ever tried to lose weight will know exactly what this feeling is like. And it was so important to me that I found a lifestyle that allowed everything, room for everything. Obviously, there's times where you have to say, "Okay, maybe I don't need 8 cookies, but I can still have a cookie during the week. I can still enjoy pasta." Italians are more carb heavy. I'm still gonna have some carbs. Whatever those things are for you, I think it's just so important to find what works for you, and it's different for everybody, and something that you can do consistently that just begins to feel like how you eat and live, and not, "I'm on something, I'm off something, I'm on something, I'm off something." So, I truly feel like when the GLP-1 showed up, it was like that was the alternate route, I guess, right? Because up until that point, the only thing I knew was track your calories, write them down, don't eat too much of this, don't eat too much, and you go like a little bit bonkers with it. And I was just so done with that. And that's why I had just accepted this is my body because I'm not willing to do that anymore. But I want to see my body change. And so there was a conflict there for
And good
sure.
for you for standing up because your body did find another way. And that was the beautiful thing. It's like we can ask for that. It's this or something greater. Show me another way because that way I don't want to do it. And it didn't work for you. And it was restrictive and it made you feel like crap. So you figured it out. And one of the cool things about the GLP-1 is that the signal that is healing is the metabolic signal, right? And then I remember you saying the food noise is gone. And that's blood
Yeah.
sugar, because it also helps with blood sugar regulation. So that's the nice thing about it is, and we can do a lot of that without the actual injection. I have a class actually that I did that is an energetic GLP-1, like a hypnotic GLP-1, where I would just talk the brain and body through what a GLP-1 would do in your own body. And it's really a really neat one as well. So there's lots of support that we can do in different ways. And sometimes you need medication. Like ultimately, in order to conceive my two kids, I needed a shit ton of medication, as a matter of fact. IVF is a lot, and I had to work through that being okay because for years and years and years, I wanted to do it the natural way. But somebody said to me once, they're like, if you needed a prosthetic limb, would you turn that down because it wasn't natural? No, you would get the limb. So, science is there to help us too. And one of the things we did with you, and I do this with all of my clients that end up on GLP-1s, is we optimize your body to the drug. And that's what I did with my IVF medications. I did two medicated rounds and 5 transfers before body talk or hypnosis. So those were all just drug in, drug out, and they went terribly. I felt really, really bad. And then the last 3 stimulation cycles that I did, and then 5 transfers after that, was with body talk and hypnosis, and my body did amazing with those drugs, amazing with pregnancy. It was an ideal reaction because I had worked on my communication between my body and the drugs, and that made all the difference in the world. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so one of the reasons people end up going off of GLP-1s is because of the side effects, because it can be pretty nasty, nausea. I mean, there's a lot of fear mongering out there. But for me, other than the initial dose, maybe not the initial dose, but when I moved up a dose, there was a week or two where I did feel a little bit of the side effects. But aside from that, I've had almost no side effects whatsoever. I am not nauseous. I have an appetite. I poop normally for the most part. So you could get real bad constipation, right? Um, Depending on the person. I Some people experience mood side effects. That's actually improved my mood and anxiety and depression and all of those things. The food noise, like you said, was probably one of the biggest benefits that I didn't realize going into it that I would experience. It was like my brain was just so loud. The radio was so loud. And how many calories in this? Blah, 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 and what are we going to eat next? And then all of a sudden it went. And when that turned down, I was able to be more in tune with myself and make different kinds of decisions. So yeah, there's a ton of benefits, and we did a lot of preparation in my body being able to take that in and utilize it, and that is exactly how I felt, and I've been on it now for 17 months, and I've had no issues, no side effects, no concerns medically or anything like that.
It's one of the things I do too if I know I have a client, because I work with fertility as well, of course. If I know I have a client prepping for IVF, it's one of the things we do in hypnosis first is prepping their body to receive the medication and to may it bless your body, may it optimize your body, because this is a tool. It's like a Lego piece in your Lego wall that we're adding, and then how can we integrate it into the wall seamlessly so that it's strong and healthy and resilient, so we can use these tools that have been created for us. And aren't we so fortunate that we have these tools? I feel grateful for GLP-1s all the time when I see the changes that they make in my clients' lives. Now, not everyone wants to do it that way, and that's fine. Then we'll find another way. Your body will find another way. The base is coming down to the safety. And if you feel safe to let go of the protection weight, then your body will let you know what the next step is.
Yeah, and if I would say for anyone that's debating a GLP-1, I know for myself, I waited a good maybe year and a half since it had come out to start it because I wasn't ready, but also because I had all these beliefs about what a GLP-1 was. And like I said, it's getting better, that there is a stigma about it. And I just think if that's what's holding you back, fuck it. It's your body. And if you think this is something that could work for you, who cares? I see so many comments online. Oh, it's cheating. It's cheating. What's the test? Who made the test? What are we being tested on? And in what other areas of life do we not want to find a way that we can do something a little bit easier? That's like saying to someone who's depressed, it's cheating to take antidepressants. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are we, who's testing us? That's what I always think. So, but I did have those beliefs because I heard them a lot and I thought, oh, and all these side effects, and then I'll gain it back if I go off of it. I don't plan to go off of it, period. It's a long-term medication. And that's my plan is to stay on it. Why would I go off of it? And so, yeah, if you're on the fence about it and it's something that is what your beliefs are around it, I wish I had let that go sooner, but I let it go when the timing was right
It was
and releasing some of that energetic stuff.
Yep. Well, because I've also had clients who have come to me who have been on GLP-1s and they did nothing, nothing, highest dose, nothing before they did the energetic work. The body was just like, no. So same thing with IVF. Like I said, I did it 4 or 5 times before the energetics and it didn't work. And I was 27. Like it should have worked. It should have been perfect. And it wasn't because I wasn't ready. My body wasn't ready. It didn't feel safe to get pregnant. It didn't do well with the drugs, blah, blah, blah. And it's the same thing even with like with antidepressants, or anti-anxiety medication. If all you're doing is the medicine and you're not exercising or moving your body and eating well and getting your sleep, blah, 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 the medication isn't going to work awesome. It might still be enough though to get you to the place that you can exercise and you can eat well and you can prioritize yourself. So I really believe in anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication as well. There's a time and a place for medications, and we can optimize them through our energetic work. So now, Melissa and I, of course, are not doctors, and this is not medical advice. This is just us having a conversation. And of course, always talk to your doctor, but do talk to your doctor if you're curious. And do know that if you're curious about adding medications of any kind to your lifestyle, that we can support you with hypnosis and that kind of thing. So just it's okay to have the conversation. It's okay to ask for another way. I have a client of mine who's postpartum right now, and the anxiety is spiraling. And I just said, you might want to consider talking to your doctor about a medication at this point, right? And so she's just going to talk to her doctor. It's just about a conversation. So we really do have to take our health into our own hands, and that means being curious. And like Melissa had said, it was saying, body, I need another way because this way isn't working anymore. So, and then you were curious and then you were open. And it's really neat to see what your body brought you.
Yeah. And even before that, Robin, it's okay to want to change your body.
Yes.
And that was huge for me because I had started to feel like, well, I need to learn to love myself. And so if I want to change my body, then I guess I don't love myself. And I came to realize both things can be true and you can love yourself into change, right? It doesn't have to come from anger. And you can also not love yourself and heal that too while you're taking action and doing something about it. But I had to be okay with that because I had almost got myself stuck in this little prison in my mind of like, it's not okay to want to change my body. That's vain or that's, not appreciating who I am and being grateful that I have whatever in my life. And through working on some of that together, it was like, of course, it's okay to want to change your body. It's okay to want to look a certain way. It's okay to want to be a certain weight. That's fine, right? Everybody has their own reasons and everybody has what's ideal for them. So that was something I really had to come to terms with and accept before I did anything, truly.
100%. And I remember you also sharing the fact that you didn't feel good at your highest weight. You also, I remember, because you are so athletic and because you're a dancer and everything, you had shared with me, I can't sit the way I want. I can't wear what I want to wear. I don't feel good in this suit. So that, it's not just about looks, it's also about how you feel.
Absolutely. That was the main driver. I did not feel good. And there are many people very healthy and in all kinds of body shapes. For me, my lab work started to get bad, less ideal. I started to have blood pressure issues, inflammation issues, like things were starting to add up. And I couldn't move the way I wanted to move. I felt like my boobs had gotten so big and they were constantly in my face and my stomach. And like you said, I've always been athletic and it was starting starting to get in the way of doing the things that I love to do. And I just didn't feel good physically, mentally. So yeah, there was a big piece was I just want to feel better. And that was the primary driver. And secretly, I want to like how I look. Like that was the other piece to it that I was like, okay, that's okay too. So both of those things together for sure.
Yeah, it's really important. Thank you for sharing that because it is, you do deserve to feel good in your body and you do deserve to be proud of how you look. That's okay too. It's absolutely okay. It's wonderful. And I remember even that feeling of like wanting to be pregnant and wanting to carry a baby myself, and that's okay. I was open to however my babies came. And the truth of the matter was, I wanted to carry them myself. I really did. That was really something that I wanted to experience, and that's okay. It's okay to be clear because then your subconscious mind can start to filter the things that will help to make that happen, as opposed to being wishy-washy and saying one thing but meaning another. So a lot of the work we do together too is getting clear. It's clarity. Hmm.
Yeah. Huge. Huge for me. So as you can see, there's so many layers with weight. So many things. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for our sessions, for getting to work on that energetic piece, for the hypnosis, and for medication. I'm just very grateful for all these things coming together.
And I'm really grateful that you're sharing this because I know this is going to help so many people. And this is why I created the Thriving Body membership, because it is a journey. And so every month we do a new topic and we do a new hypnosis class. And then people can listen to that hypnosis for 30 days and then they can do the next one, because then we're reprogramming all these layers. So we cover all the different layers by doing a different class every time. And it's a really beautiful thing. And I'm hoping that you'll come into the membership and actually speak about your story because I think that would be really helpful. Would you do that?
Yeah, I would be honored to do that.
That'd be great. I think that would be really helpful for people even just to be able to ask questions. And a big value of mine is solidarity. That people know that they are not alone. You are not the only one that feels like this. And I guess in essence, we're decreasing the stigma. But I know from being an empath that people will often spill their guts to me. They just spill their guts because they know they can feel from me that I can put myself into their shoes. There's nothing they can say that's going to shock me or surprise me or clutch my pearls. Like I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I get it. Or I have an experience like that myself and I'll pull out the part of me that relates. And I think that that feeling seen, heard, understood, and accepted for where you're at is so massive. It is so, so massive, especially if you're on a weight loss or journey. So I have some people in the membership though who aren't trying to lose weight, but they're so empathic. They're trying to just shift where the weight is on their bodies. So they might, I had one client who's like, "Is it okay if I join the membership even though I don't have a whole bunch of weight to lose?" And then it's that permission, right? It's like, "Yes, of course," because we're not just working on weight. All the things that you and I talked about, all of the things, all of the layers are not directly weight related a lot of the time, because a lot of people know what they're supposed to do. They just can't make themselves do it. So we're working on often like protection weight will be around the middle, right? And then it can kind of spread to all parts of your body, but usually definitely around the middle, and which is cortisol weight. And then people are like, well, it's just cortisol weight. But right, but why is the cortisol there? Because your nervous system doesn't feel safe. So then you're dumping cortisol, right? So it really shockingly, and I would have never believed this back when I started my fitness career and first started trying to get pregnant, it all comes down to safety, like nervous system safety. Every disordered ailment, everything that we are struggling with, it all comes down to safety in the body. It's so surprising, but it seems to be true over and over again. Because even for me with my fertility journey, my body was attacking embryos. That's what it was doing. My immune system was attacking embryos. And I did not figure that out until I had a doctor, hugely empathic man, who saw that for me. And he was like, because I at that point was ready to move over to egg donation because we were 11 years into our journey at that point. I was like, well, we got to change something. Let's try something else. And egg donation is a beautiful, wonderful thing. So I was totally open to that at that point. And he said to me, Robyn, let's try one more round of IVF with your own eggs. I was 35 at the time, with your own eggs. And let's try it with the immunosuppressants. Because in his mind, unexplained infertility is an immune system issue where the immune system is attacking the embryo, because there's all kinds of things that need to happen in order for your immune system to accept the embryo, because it's half not you. So my body was identifying it as an invader. So then I was attacking embryos all the time. And so when my work with him, plus I started hypnosis at the same time, where we were working on receiving the embryo, but then he put me on an immune suppressant during the conception phase. And that's how I finally got pregnant, was the combination of hypnosis and a medication. And then my body was able to identify the embryo as mine, as safe. But it was my body not feeling safe that was attacking the embryos. Because if you're on alert, then your immune system goes up. And it's like, ooh, I was on high alert all the time, hypervigilance. And a lot of empaths feel that, especially if you're of the older of the children. They'll feel that hypervigilance. If I don't watch out, who will? Everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket if I am not constantly on high alert. So that's what my immune system was doing, because that was my belief about the world. So it all again it all comes back to safety. So even when I am working with fertility clients, we start with creating safety first. We start with the bubble of protection, and then we can work on the specific individual reasons that your body might be not allowing you to conceive. And then interestingly, if you have a belief around conceiving not being safe, it's subconscious, so you wouldn't know it was there. If you have that belief, then that can affect your egg quality, because your body will be like, oh, I get the message. Pregnancy is unsafe. Let me quickly sabotage. Or it'll tank your thyroid, or it'll, spike your immune system, whatever it might be. The body is always trying to help you. But you and I have both shared how in our journeys we felt angry at our bodies at some point. Like, why can't you just do what you're supposed to do? Why can't you do that? So it was working through that piece of being like, your body's actually just doing the best that it can. And when it has what it needs, it can do what it's supposed to do.
Yes, learned to have quite a bit of compassion for my body because, when I started to think about it, okay, for me, there's bullying and there was this, and I felt all this kind of stuff. So of course, I put on a layer of protection, right? Of coping and of creating distance from that, feeling tough and armor and that sort of thing. I can handle anything. I don't need any friends, like that, that kind of thing. And for whatever reasons, a person may feel unsafe. Like maybe your body's been objectified in your life and that it's unsafe to display your body because of experiences you've had, whatever the case. Um, your body, why the heck would it put energy into burning calories? That would make no sense whatsoever. It's just trying to say, like, yeah, I'm here for you. I'm helping you. I'm doing what I think you need. And so when I started to think about it that way, in that we're on the same team, me and my body here. We're just got our signals wrong.
Yes.
I started to see it differently, less angry about it.
Yeah, way more gracious. And me being like, okay, body, what are you telling me? And that could still be frustrating sometimes when my body wasn't ready. I wanted to keep teaching group fitness. I had to retire because my body would not allow me to continue. And that was devastating. Devastating. I grieved that for a very long time. But my body said no. And I had to listen. I had to start listening. Yeah. So, Melissa, what do you wish you had known 10 years ago?
Woo, what do I wish I had known? All the things that I've done led me to where I am now. So I truly believe, again, it is a journey. Even the most ridiculous thing, let me share this side story. I actually got a psychic medium once to give me weight loss advice. And she told me to roll back on my back and put my knees over my head once a day. And like that was going to help me lose weight. And I thought that was the silliest, stupidest thing I'd heard. But did I do it? Absolutely. For a month, I rolled back and I let me say it didn't work. But it was, like you said, data. I was collecting data. I was learning what worked, what didn't work. So it's hard for me to say what do I wish I'd known because I knew the things I needed to know when I needed to know them. But I think the biggest thing for me is I wish I hadn't been so hard on myself and had so much shame. And I wish I had known back then it's not your fault. You are working so hard. You're doing everything, and it makes me emotional because again, I just thought it was me. I'm bad. I'm less than. I should feel shame about this. I wish I could have done all that without that and had known for sure. But again, it was part of the journey.
And that's something that we do in hypnosis is we do go back and we do tell 10 years ago you, this is not your fault. And because the subconscious doesn't know time, it's like you always had that message, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate you. It's so fun to talk to you, and we'll get you on that membership. That would be, I would love if you would come and share. Is there any parting words that you have for our listeners?
I feel like I've shared quite a bit, but if you are on a weight loss journey or just want to change an aspect or feel better or health or whatever the case that might be, I would just say give yourself grace, be patient. It's going to be slower than you want, probably. That's okay. Um, Find something that can be consistent for you, that you enjoy, that works for your body, for your diet, for movement, whatever the case, and just ignore all the shit that you might hear out there about it. Whether you choose to take a GLP-1 or not, whether a family member says something to you or not, whatever the case, you get to decide what you want to put in your body and what you want to do, and you get to have that. So just follow that.
Are you open to people reaching out to you on email?
Absolutely. If I can help answer a question or let you know a bit about how I used the GLP-1 and the things that I was doing with it, like, I'm so happy to share, or even just, share experiences and all that kind of stuff. Very much happy to do that.
What's the best way for people to reach you?
You can email me.
Awesome. So I will put that in the show notes. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Robin. And again, such an honor to be here. Thank you.
It's such an honor for me to have you here. So thank you for being with me all these years. I appreciate you.
Back at you.
Bye. Thank you for joining me today on the Hypnotic Empath. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a 5-star review, or share with somebody who needs this kind of support. You can find more resources, hypnotherapy audios, and ways to work with me at robynholm.com. And don't forget, your sensitivity is not a weakness, it's a gift. Stay rooted in your power, and I'll see you next time.